History remembers Rome. The empire that conquered much of the known world, and the legendary Ninth Legion, one of its most respected military forces. For decades, they fought Rome's enemies, guarded the northern frontier, and stood as a symbol of Roman strength. Then, their trail simply ended. No final battle, no official explanation, only silence. As Britain descended into unrest, a new legion arrived. Emperor Hadrian came to restore order, and a great wall rose across the northern frontier. But were these events connected, or merely part of a much bigger mystery? To find the truth, we must leave speculation behind and follow the evidence, exactly as historians do. Before we search for answers, we need to separate historical fact from centuries of legend. Movies, novels, and popular stories have imagined dramatic endings for the Ninth Legion. Some tell the strongest piece of evidence isn't a weapon or a battlefield, it's a stone. Inside the Roman fortress at Eburacum, modern day York, archaeologists discovered a building inscription dating to around AD 108. It records construction work carried out by Legio IX Hispana. This is the last confirmed record that places the Ninth Legion in Britain. After that inscription, no Roman historian describes its last campaign. It's as though history itself turned the page and never wrote another line. Years later, a different Roman legion, Legio VI Victrix, arrived in Britain and took over the fortress at Eburacum. To Roman commanders, this may have been routine military administration, but to modern historians, it raises an important question. Why replace the ninth if it was still there? Many have been lost to war, fire, time, and decay. So historians face a frustrating reality. The evidence doesn't tell us what happened. It only tells us where the trail ends. And beyond that point, everything becomes a mystery, with only a handful of clues. Historians have spent centuries trying to reconstruct the Ninth Legion's final chapter. Some believe its fate was sealed on the mist-covered frontier of northern Britain. If they are right, the disappearance of the Ninth Legion wasn't an accident. It was one of Rome's greatest military disasters. This is the first theory. Our first clue takes us back to the wild frontier of northern Britain. Unlike the peaceful cities of the south, the north remained a land Rome never truly controlled. Beyond its forts stretched dense forests, windswept hills, and tribes that had no intention of surrendering to the empire. For every mile Rome conquered, the resistance only grew stronger. The Ninth Legion was among the forces guarding this frontier. Their mission seemed simple: protect Roman territory, expand imperial control, crush any rebellion before it could spread. But this enemy fought differently. They knew every forest, every mountain pass, every hidden valley. They chose when to fight and when to disappear into the wilderness. Some historians believe this was where the Ninth Legion met its end, not in one glorious battle, but in a brutal campaign of relentless attacks, far from reinforcements, deep inside hostile territory. Rome's greatest strength, Its discipline may have counted for very little, one ambush after another, until an entire legion simply ceased to exist. This theory isn't based only on imagination. Ancient sources describe serious unrest in Britain during the reign of Emperor Hadrian. The Roman writer Fronto later recorded that large numbers of Roman soldiers were killed by the Britons. Another source claimed the Britons could no longer be kept fully under Roman control. Soon afterward, Hadrian personally arrived in Britain, bringing reinforcements and ordering one of history's most famous defensive structures to be built, Hadrian's Wall. At first glance, the story seems convincing. A dangerous frontier, a missing legion, a wall built soon afterward. Everything appears to fit. But history is rarely that simple. Despite decades of archaeological research, no battlefield has ever been discovered that can be confidently identified as the Ninth Legion's final stand. No mass grave, no surviving Roman account describing their destruction, only questions and silence. Could the Ninth Legion have been destroyed somewhere beyond Rome's northern frontier? It's possible, but without decisive evidence, the mystery remains unsolved. And another clue points far beyond Britain, nearly 3,000 miles away, in a land where Rome faced another deadly enemy. But what if the Ninth Legion never disappeared in Britain? Some historians believe they were transferred thousands of kilometers east to the troubled province of Judea. Judea was one of Rome's most unstable provinces. Rebellion was always a threat, and Rome constantly needed experienced soldiers. When the Bar Kokhba revolt erupted, the fighting was devastating. Some believe the Ninth Legion was sent here and never returned. It's a compelling idea, but historians have found no inscription, no tombstone, and no Roman record placing the Ninth Legion in Judea. Without physical evidence, this theory remains possible, but unproven. But another theory takes us even farther east to the battlefields of Armenia. Beyond Judea, Rome faced another powerful enemy, the Parthian Empire. In AD 114, Emperor Trajan launched a massive campaign into Armenia and Mesopotamia. Some historians wonder, was the Ninth Legion sent to reinforce him? If they fought here, they may have been destroyed, far from Britain, where history never recorded their fate. But surviving Roman records list other legions, not the Ninth. No source confirms they ever fought in the East. Without direct evidence, this theory also remains a mystery. But what if there was no final battle at all? Not every mystery ends on a battlefield. Some historians believe the Ninth Legion simply faded away. As the empire expanded, soldiers were often reassigned to different frontiers. Entire legions could gradually lose their identity. Over time, the Ninth may have been divided into smaller detachments until the legion no longer existed as one united force. Discoveries at Nijmegen suggest that at least some soldiers of the Ninth served beyond Britain, but they don't explain what happened to the entire legion. No Roman document records the legion's official disbanding. Once again, the evidence is incomplete. 4 theories, 4 possible endings, yet none can fully explain what became of Rome's lost Ninth Legion. So, where does all of this leave us? 4 roads, 1 mystery. So, where does all of this leave us? 4 different theories, 4 possible endings, each supported by fragments of evidence and each challenged by equally important questions. Some clues point toward the mist-covered frontiers of Britain. Others lead us across the eastern provinces of the Roman Empire, while another suggests there was never a final battle at all, only the slow fading of a once great legion into history. Yet every road we follow, every clue we uncover, and every theory we examine leads us back to the very same unanswered question. When every path reaches a dead end, only one conclusion remains. Some believe they were destroyed beyond Rome's northern frontier, their final battle lost in ancient Britain. Others claim they marched east to Judea or Armenia, where war erased every trace. Or perhaps there was no final battle at all, only a slow disappearance, as the legion quietly faded into Rome's history. Every theory explains part of the mystery, but none explains it completely. No battlefield has ever been confirmed, no mass grave has been found, no Roman record reveals the legion's final fate, and no inscription tells us what truly happened to Rome's lost Ninth Legion. For an empire that recorded its victories, its emperors, and its armies, such silence may be the greatest mystery of all. Perhaps the answer still lies hidden beneath the forests of northern Britain, beneath the ruins of an ancient fortress, or beneath the sands of a distant frontier. Until new evidence is uncovered, the fate of the Ninth Legion will remain one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world. We began with one question: how could nearly 5,000 Roman soldiers simply disappear? After following every clue, examining every theory and every piece of evidence, the answer still remains unknown. And perhaps that's what makes the story of the Ninth Legion one of history's greatest lost chapters.